It is 1928. You are standing on a frozen Soviet airstrip north of the Arctic Circle, and the thermometer reads -45. The wind is not just cold, it is structural, a physical force that pushes against your chest and finds every gap in your clothing like water finding cracks in stone. The aircraft behind you groans against its moorings. The oil in its engine has thickened to near solid, and in 2 hours you will either fly into the white void or die trying to start your engine. There is no third option. Welcome to Fieldcraft Chronicles, where history does not just educate, it equips. Today we explore how Soviet polar pilots used animal fat, open fire, and hard-earned ingenuity to fly missions that should have been physically impossible, and what those techniques mean for anyone serious about cold weather preparedness today. Skin on the line, the fat that saved faces. At -40, exposed flesh freezes in under 2 minutes. Wind strips heat from the face faster than the body can replace it, and frostbite begins as a deceptive numbness. Pleasant, almost peaceful, while tissue damage accumulates beneath the surface. Soviet pilots and ground crews countered this by applying thick layers of rendered animal fat, bear, seal, reindeer, or goose, directly to expose skin before every flight and every outdoor work session. The fat created a physical barrier against convective heat loss, slowing the rate at which wind stole warmth from the cheeks, nose, and wrists. This was the same knowledge that Siberian indigenous peoples, the Nenets, the Evenk, had carried for generations, and the pilots borrowed it without ceremony because it worked. It was not desperation. It was precisely correct fieldcraft. Lanolin balms, tallow-based preparations, and animal fat skin barriers serve that identical function in serious cold weather practice today, and they remain underused by modern outdoors people who trust synthetic alternatives they have never truly tested in the field. Reviving the engine, oil, fire, and the Arctic restart. The aircraft engine faced the same enemy as the man flying it. Standard mineral oil congealed below -30 degrees Celsius, turning a finely engineered machine into an immovable block of frozen metal. Ground crews kept small fires burning beneath oil pans overnight, trading the risk of freezing for the risk of fire, managing that second risk through constant, experienced attention. When engines did freeze solid, the restart procedure was brutal and precise. Drain the congealed oil, heat it in a metal cauldron over open flame to 90 degrees Celsius, and pour it back into the engine rapidly while a second crew member turned it over by hand. The window between hot enough to flow and cooled back to useless in Arctic air was measured in minutes. Every man on the ground had a defined role. The choreography was rehearsed until it became instinct, because in that environment, hesitation and instinct were not equally survivable. What the ice teaches, lessons that refuse to freeze. These men solved every problem with what was actually in front of them. Fat that was available, fire that could be built and controlled, alcohol added to fuel lines to prevent water ice blockages in temperatures that turn moisture into a saboteur, kerosene blended into engine oil to reduce viscosity when purpose-built Arctic lubricants were simply not there, layered wool, sheepskin and fur filling every gap that the cold found in their clothing system. None of it came from a manual written in a warm office somewhere. They wrote the manual themselves, in frostbite scars and engine smoke, and the kind of knowledge that only accumulates through failure survived. Then they flew anyway. Preparedness is not about the perfect gear list. It is about understanding your materials deeply enough that you can adapt them when conditions demand it. Every time you test your kit in genuine cold rather than imagined cold, You're continuing that tradition. It belongs to you. If this episode added something to your understanding of survival, history, and the art of Fieldcraft, subscribe to Fieldcraft Chronicles and share this video with someone who values self-reliance and historical truth. The knowledge these men carried nearly died with them. Help us make sure it doesn't.